I'm starting off with a square pan. This is either 8 or 9 inches. And you can either use foil or parchment to line it. And break off enough so that you get some overhang. And by overhang, I mean this over here. Because at the end, we're going to be lifting these out. I think foil is easier than parchment. If you have parchment, you almost have to cut it on one side. Anyway. And then, if you have cooking spray, which I don't, I never bought that. Well, maybe once in my life. You can spray the pan. I have a little bit of walnut oil here, so I'm going to put a little bit of that. And then I'm going to take a paper towel and grease it like that. And set that aside. Next, I'll preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Next, I'm going to grind the quinoa into a quinoa flour. So make sure that you're using white quinoa, not one that's brown or that has the mix, because these are blondies after all. And I'm going to want 3/4 of a cup after it's all ground up. So I have a 1/2 cup and a 1/4 cup measuring cup here. And I have my coffee bean grinder. So if you use your coffee bean grinder for coffee, make sure it's all cleaned out. You can take a damp paper towel and clean it out. You can run this underwater, but don't immerse the whole thing, of course. So I have no idea how much it's going to make. 3/4. So I'm going to pour some into my 1/2 cup thing here. And maybe I should do a 1/4 cup at a time. We're going to find out. I'm only going to do half. So maybe a 1/4 cup at a time. And then put this on. This is better than the blender, because the blender, you know, it's going to get, in a blender it's going to get stuck. So, let's see. So it grinds it up into these small, maybe it's not small enough. That's why you only want to do a 1/4 cup at a time. But it just do a pretty good job of making a dust. You can see some dust here. So I'm going to, actually I should probably, you know, it's still kind of, I'm going to grind it some more. I should probably measure it over a paper towel too. What do you think? I think that's a good idea. So, I know, I'm still seeing little granules in here, even though it is quite powdery. Grinding flaxseed goes a lot quicker than grinding quinoa. Okay, it's pretty powdery right now, so I'm trying to not block the camera or anything, but let's see. I'll do a 1/4 cup. If I don't lose too much of it on the towel. Okay, so that's a 1/4 cup, and that's not quite a 1/4 cup, so I need 3 of those. So let's put this in. Do it again. This is an experiment. Check them. See, they're still kind of, I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but they're still kind of grainy. I want it as powdery as possible. Let's see. That's quite powdery. Okay. 2 of those, and we're almost at 3, not quite. Okay, so I need a little bit more. This time I'm going to use a spoon, and I'm just going to do, I'm looking at how much, maybe 2.5 of those. I'll put this on, one more thing. actually see, and again, they're just too big. If you end up liking this quinoa flour that you make yourself, you can probably grind up a bunch of it and store it in an airtight container, like a Tupperware container. Alright. Normally I don't shake down flour, so I don't know why I'm doing that. Okay, so that's my 3/4 cup of flour. And now I'm going to add 2 more ingredients to this. I'm going to add one in here, in this little bowl, I have 1 teaspoon of baking powder and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And you can stir it with a spoon or whisk it, doesn't matter. So now that's for all we're going to do for our dry ingredients, and now we're going to get on to the wet ingredients. Into the mixing bowl, I'm putting 1/4 cup of softened butter, and this is actually half a stick. And actually, I'm going to reach over while I have a camera tripod on my back, and I'm just going to break it up a little bit because my house is cold. So even though it's softened, it's not that soft. And I'm going to put in 3/4 cup of almond butter, and I'll link to another video, probably in the top corner of the screen, showing how to measure sticky things like peanut butter using this, oh, it fell off nicely, kind of measuring cup. Alright, so I'm going to beat that first. So you can see that. Oh, you can see it, okay. And then I'm going to add 2 eggs and 3/4 cup of brown sugar. For those of you who are new to cooking, you need to pack it in there really tightly with a spoon. So 3/4 cup of that. And then I'm also going to put in 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And that. Alright. And then mix. Let's take a look at what it looks like. And usually I like the beater to be in the back. And this is where I just like to scrape it down. Usually the KitchenAid is pretty good at KitchenAid Mix Master at getting everything, but you might want to give it one more. Alright, now I'm going to put in the flour mixture. And remember, you newbies, if you're new to baking, when you put in dry ingredients, only put it on the low setting, otherwise you're going to get flour all over the place. You only want to mix this until it's fully mixed, which it really is right now. Alright, now I'm going to take out the beaters and I'm going to mix in some chocolate chips. After I get this sticky batter, the almond butter was an interesting addition to this, so if you don't like nut butters, I'll have to think about what might be. You might just need more regular butter. But unlike other baking recipes with gluten-free flours, I'm not adding anything like xanthan gum or anything, so that's what the recipe called for. And meanwhile, while I had the camera off, and I had my baking cabinet above open, the xanthan gum that I have in the cabinet fell out and a little bit got on the floor. And I cleaned it up with a wet sponge, and that just made it worse, because when xanthan gum gets wet, it gets sticky, which is the whole point. And then I had to scrub the floor in between so that I wouldn't slip on it. Okay, so now I'm going to mix in some chocolate chips, and I have 1 cup of chocolate chips. Actually, I'm just a hair shy of a cup, but that's all I had. And I'm going to mix those in. These are semi-sweet chocolate chips. And I'm just using a silicone spatula here, and that's working out pretty well. And then I'm ready to put it in a pan. Now I'm ready to pour it in, and actually I'm not pouring, I'm actually going to use the spatula to help me get it all out, get it out in chunks. It's a sticky batter because of that nut butter. For your nut butter, you can use either creamy or crunchy. I don't remember if I said that. Alright, so here I'm going to spread it in. Put the sticky batter, I'm going to spread it into all of the corners. Sticky, and more sticky. Alright, it's ready to go in the oven. I'm putting this in the middle rack of the oven, and I'm going to bake it for 30 minutes. It's been 30 minutes, and the instructions say to take it out of the oven and test it with a toothpick in the center to make sure it comes out. Yeah, the first one did. Make sure it comes out clean. In the center. That one's kind of clean. It's okay if there's chocolate on it, because that's a melted chocolate chip. But that one was awfully wet. Now this is coming out clean. If it just comes out with crumbs on it, that's okay. Alright. And then it said I could bake it up to 35 minutes. So I could do another 5, but it's pretty golden here. But it said to not overbake. So I'm going to leave it out. And then next, it has to sit out, just out of the oven, in a pan. I might even put it on a cooling rack for at least 1 hour. So that's what I'm going to do next. The blondies have sufficiently cooled, so now I'm going to use the foil, as they say, to lift it out of the pan. There we go. And now it's time to cut it, and with hands that I just washed, oh yeah, it's going to come right apart. Anyway, I don't know about, I just cracked it right here. So as they say, the truth is in the tasting. So that's the next thing I'm going to do. Okay, I don't need a piece that's that big to tell me if it's good. Alright, I cheated and I already tasted them. And they're good. I thought they'd be a lot more dense, like a brownie is or a blondie. But they're lighter and more cakey. I have to take another bite. Hang on. It has a lighter, cakier taste to it, which is good, because if it was really dense and hard, I'd think, I'm thinking that it probably needs to be stored in an airtight container. I'm just thinking it's going to, if it's not eaten up right away, they might get dry. If I figure that out, I'll put a note below the video to say, or maybe I'll put a note in the video, if I remember. But these are really good. So the key is to buy white quinoa, to have your coffee bean grinder, and to use somewhere between 1/8 of a cup and 1/4 of a cup at a time, and really get it ground up. Stop the blending, pull off the lid of the coffee bean grinder, look at it to see if it's small enough. If it's not small enough, put it back on, because you really want it to be the consistency of flour. Other than that, it's pretty good. I don't really taste the almond butter so much, maybe a little bit, but having the chocolate in these is good. It's, you know how Blondies are kind of, if you put chocolate chips in them, they're kind of like a chocolate chip cookie, really, but a chocolate chip bar cookie. This is more like a chocolate chip cookie cake. So very interesting. If you are needing to be gluten-free or aiming to be gluten-free, this is a great dessert to try. It's pretty inexpensive. You just need to have some basic ingredients on hand. I am now out of almond butter. I'm going to have to buy more. And the good kinds are not cheap. But that last container that I had of it lasted a long time. And of course, I keep quinoa on hand all the time, and that's easier and easier to find these days. So go ahead and try it. It's actually really delicious and easy to make. Bye.